Welcome back. CBS News has new polling on how the country views the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. We should note this survey took place last week before the unrest in Los Angeles began. There's always a top-line number. The top-line number, 54% approve of the president's deportation program, but there's always numbers beneath the top line. So help us with that. CBS News Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, your friend and mine, Anthony Salvanto, with the nuance beneath the top line. Anthony, take it away.
How are you, Major? And yeah, it's often more interesting because what we're doing here, especially as you mentioned, this is heading into the weekend. This is context for how people think about this issue. And let me start with this because it's a real pivot point in that. If folks think that the Trump administration is prioritizing the deportation of folks they feel are dangerous criminals, then they support the program. If they feel, as 47% do, that that's not the priority, then they don't. In fact, they not just support it, but I'll show you this. They're a big part of this 42% who think the program is making America safer as opposed to less safe. But there's another pivot point on this, and it has to do with how many people think the administration is trying to deport. So let me show you this. I asked very basically, is this what you expected? You see, a lot of people, 49%, say, no, they're trying to deport more people than they expected. And what you get on a crosstab there, I'll finish with this, is that the people who say they think the administration is trying to deport more people than they expected are actually more disapproving of the program. So you might interpret that as, wait a second, this isn't exactly what we expected. This isn't, maybe it's going too far in their minds. But the people who say, yep, this is what we expected, for many on the right, this is what they wanted when they voted for Donald Trump, that's two-thirds, that's approval. That's the other pivot point here, Major.
So, Anthony, it sounds to me that at least in part, our survey data reflects what people heard then candidate Trump say about his intentions on immigration during the campaign. And since they're processing it as more or less in line with what they think they heard, or they remember what they heard, they're inclined to be nominally supportive of it.
Let me pick up on that, because as usual, just the right question there, right? Look at this. We don't rehearse this beforehand.
We don't rehearse this, folks. We really don't.
Although I'm sure that's quite obvious to the viewers. But look, this is a comparison of when I ask people, do you like the administration's goals in this program? You get a majority saying yes. Do you like the administration's approach? Far fewer. A majority say they dislike it. And that does speak to your point. What you expected versus what you think you were seeing. Now, I should add very quickly, though, for the Republican base, for MAGA, very strong support here. And on immigration, he does do better overall than on the economy.
Anthony Salvanto, always a pleasure, sir. Thank you.